This is Brendan from Hostile Ray, and this is Antihero Online.
For people who haven't heard of the band, can you give me a little bit of information of about your style and describe the style of music that you guys create?
Sure. It's kind of a weird mesh of what I would consider like early 2000s post-hardcore and some metalcore influences in there as well. Um, in our previous bands, we were playing more of just straightforward metalcore, but now we're kind of just mixing it up a little bit and trying to think outside the box.
The message in the music, you really focus on major conflicts in the world when it comes to political and social issues, war, immigration, privacy rights, that type of stuff. What made you want to create music that has that type of message?
Honestly, it's one of those things where I don't really see anyone else making music dealing with those topics, but from the perspective that I'm coming from. I feel like politically, especially with the music scene, it's a little bit more on the, I guess, more of the liberal left-wing side of the spectrum, and sometimes you have some conservative right-wing stuff, but I would consider myself more of a like libertarian, classical liberal, and I don't really see too many artists coming from that perspective. And I think it's something that, it's kind of a void there. And I'm trying to fill that to an extent. It's something that politics in general has been something I've been fairly passionate about for the past several years, and it's just kind of what naturally came to me.
You take a major risk when you do music that involves sensitive subjects like that. People really get fired up when it comes to politics and current events, and they always say two things that you never talk about are politics and religion. But you
Right.
guys are taking a serious risk when you're talking about that. Do you kind of think about the risks involved?
I mean, definitely. We always kind of joke that sometimes, we're going to get ourselves put on some kind of watch list or something for some of the things we say sometimes. I mean, obviously we're joking to an extent, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely something we think about, but at the same time, we don't want to censor ourselves in that way. We want to be able to talk about things that we think really matter. I mean, that's, in my opinion, if you're not talking about something that matters in your art, then kind of what's the point? I mean, sure, it can be fun, but I want something that kind of makes a little bit of a bigger impact than that.
You kind of have bands like Rise Against that kind of touch on sensitive subjects like that, and they have found really great success in their music from, the songs that they have recorded about social issues.
For sure.
Do you kind of see your fan base growing because of the type of music that you create?
Potentially. As far as the message goes, I mean, I hope that it resonates with other people. I mean, I'm hoping that the message that we're creating here will just kind of click with someone, So, I mean, ideally, I'd like to see it grow because of the message, and I'd like to, find people that are like-minded and think the same way. But in the end of the day, I mean, I gotta say what I gotta say. So, I mean, if it negatively affects or positively affects at the end of the day, as long as I'm doing what I think is the right way to do it, then I don't really care at the end.
When you're touching on subjects like this, what is the writing process like? Do you just kind of just start with a basic idea and structure and build from there, or do you just watch CNN and the news all day and start writing?
I would say that it definitely comes from a lot of the topics that are hot in the media and everything. Topics, especially with like the presidential elections that happened last year. A lot of the material that I was working on was being worked on during this such a hot political time period that it was kind of easy to just get inspiration for the topics and kind of give my perspective on it, especially with everything being so divisive. Trying to find my own perception of it and kind of put that into words was basically what I was doing for most of it. There's definitely some revisions and refining to kind of get the message clearer, especially once we entered the studio and started working with our producer. But I think the message is still exactly just the natural response I had during those current events.
What was the message that you are trying to portray in the debut single from the band?
There's kind of multiple facets to it. I mean, the main topic is about our military conflicts in the Middle East, and how our overall intervention in foreign policy has kind of just affected the civilians in those areas. We think a lot of this as like this us versus them kind of things. Over there are the bad people, and over here us in the U.S. are the good people, quote unquote. But in reality, there's people just like you and me that are affected by these wars. We're here in America, and we don't really get the same fear and life or death experience that they get every day. And I think that a lot of people started thinking about the way that this affects real life people in these countries. We'd start thinking differently in how we align ourselves politically and how we vote. The other thing that kind of came out in that song was what I feel is in the more of the conservative Christian backgrounds, which I kind of grew up in. Just some of the hypocrisy that I think I've seen there, and how they talk so heavily about the sanctity of life. Especially like in the conservative Christian circles, you have very strong like pro-life movement, but yet they're the first ones to support the idea of like carpet bombing and or torturing civilians that are somehow related to the enemy or something.
Mm-hmm.
So these are all kind of the thoughts that were going through my mind when writing this song, and the result of that is what you hear.
And that's a lot of content to try to squeeze into one song.
Oh, for sure. Trying to narrow it down and get everything packed into each song that we recorded is it was a lot of work.
How do you limit yourself when it comes to staying on track when it comes to a song, instead of just trying to throw a million ideas into one song? What in the writing process do you feel can stay, and what can kind of like go and maybe go into a different track?
Well, I feel like at the end of the day, it's all about the revisions that we do. We come in with a lot of content, and it's kind of just stripping it down so we can get to the core of it. I mean, sometimes lyrically you can, add some filler and stuff like that, but I really try to keep it more to just the core of the topic and the subject. So it's kind of just each revision is just shaving away the excess to kind of get straight to the point.
With the visual for Devoid, what was the band thinking when you approached the concept to the music video that you guys released?
For sure. The content of the video, if for those who haven't seen it, it shows many different pictures from like Middle East and such as places like Syria, and the conflicts that have been going on there, and just some of the destruction and some of the pictures of people that have like lost their lives over there, and just how it's affected them. And it's just printed out pictures, kind of like Polaroids and things like that are just slowly being burnt up. It's kind of the premise I gave the artist that was doing the video, and kind of just to show, in my opinion, the way that it affects and the destruction, the flame kind of just symbolizing that destruction and how it's just kind of turned into ashes. So it was going for more of like a metaphorical kind of like symbolic stance, but I think that the visuals kind of, along with the music, just portrayed exactly what I was looking for as far as that goes. You
guys got a new album coming out, your debut album. What can
Yes.
fans kind of expect from the new album?
I would definitely say there's a lot of diversity musically there. I don't think one song sounds exactly the same. I know that when we put out our first single, Devoid, it got a lot of comparisons to bands like Architects and Silent Planet, which, I mean, at reasonable comparisons. I mean, those are definitely some bands in more recent times that have influenced us. But I wouldn't say that any of the songs on the rest of the album sound exactly like that. I mean, the vocal styles and things like that throughout are somewhat similar, but musically, I think that there's definitely a lot of diversity that people can expect.
And each song has its own message, which in a way would create its own sound as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, each song touches on a different topic that I think is at least somewhat relevant, or something that I've felt strongly about, or something of that nature. So I think that even if you don't hear it sonically, you'll at least be able to tell the difference message wise. That each song is dealing very specifically with a different topic.
Going back to the political issues and current events and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure that you're always working on something new because of all of the content that you have available.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's one of those things that I'm definitely always taking notes, and kind of how I react to current events and things like that. It definitely keeps me somewhat busy as far as writing new content and things like that. I've kind of taken a little bit of a break after recording, honestly, because it kind of just wore me out. But especially always trying to think in that mindset and kind of really trying to clarify. But I mean, it definitely keeps me active as far as the art goes and everything. I'm still taking notes here and there, what I'd like to see next in our next step.
When the new album comes out, is there going to be a opportunity for a tour cycle for you guys?
This is still pretty up in the air at the moment, but it's definitely something that we're interested in pursuing. We've been talking here and there about some potential tours, but everything is still just kind of talk at the moment. Nothing's really confirmed. We're still trying to figure out exactly when we'd like to release the album. I mean, there's a lot of people don't realize how much strategy really goes into properly releasing content like that. So it's still a lot in the works, but we definitely like to see ourselves on the road at some point for sure.
Oh, so there's no date that's set in stone for the release of the album. You guys are just going to kind of like test the waters and see what time fits best for the release?
For the most part, we have some content that we'd like to have, some more videos and things like that we'd like to release song by song. Kind of just get some of the songs that we feel are a little bit more important. I mean, all of them are important to us, but some of the ones I feel like are a little bit more impactful musically and visually as far as the video concepts we have. I think that we're trying to kind of push those first and then see where that lands us so we can determine when the best time to release the record would be.
That's pretty much everything that I have, man. Is there anything that I didn't touch on that you would like to add?
Well, I can definitely say that pretty soon we should have another video out soon for a new single. We just finished shooting that about a week or two ago. Actually, probably about two weeks ago, we finished shooting a video for a new single. So once that's edited and prepped, we should be having some new material out for everyone.
And where can people keep an eye out for the single and for the album release?
You can catch us on pretty much any of the major social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's all just at Hostile Array. You can find us there. It's probably the best place to find updates about our new stuff.
And are you guys on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play yet?
Yes, so our single Devoid is on all those major digital distributors: Spotify, Apple Music, whatever you can think of, it's there.